We were beaten, sir. Mama said you might help, unaware the lonely cowboy would never leave them. The dusk had settled heavy across the plains, stretching shadows long and soft over the hills, when Caleb Rawlins tied his tired horse to the post outside his weathered ranch house. For years, he had lived alone on that spread of land, his only company the lowing of cattle and the rustle of prairie grass against the wind. People in town called him the Lonely Cowboy, a title he never argued. It was true. After losing his parents young and watching his one love ride away years back, Caleb had built walls taller than any barn he ever raised. He worked the land, rode the ranges, and slept under the stars, but his heart carried an emptiness no wide horizon could fill. That night, as he pushed open the door to his cabin, boots dragging against the dirt, he heard something unusual, a sound not of coyotes or wind, but of feet, small and hurried, crunching gravel outside. A pause. Then a knock, timid but urgent, tapped against his door. Caleb, hand instinctively hovering near the pistol on his hip, swung it open. Standing there were two children, ragged, shivering despite the lingering summer warmth. The boy, no older than 10, had a swollen bruise across his cheek. His little sister clung to him, barefoot, clutching a torn doll against her chest. Her eyes were wide, desperate, searching his face as though clinging to the last thread of hope. The boy spoke first, voice trembling. We were beaten, sir. Mama said you might help. Caleb's chest tightened. He glanced around the yard, half expecting to see someone lurking in the shadows, but the night was still. The boy's words echoed in his ears, colliding with something deep inside him, memories of being small himself, frightened and unwanted, once knocking on a door that never opened. He looked at them, dirt streaked across their faces, fear quivering in their lips, and for the first time in years, he felt his heart stir. Come inside, Caleb said, his voice low but steady. He stepped aside, and the children hesitated before entering his simple cabin. The girl looked around, eyes catching the fire still crackling low in the hearth, and pulled her brother's hand tighter. Caleb closed the door behind them, shutting out the night. He crouched down to their level, studying them carefully. "What's your names?" he asked. The boy squared his shoulders, trying to sound braver than he felt. "Tommy." "This is Ellie. Mama said if things got real bad, we should come find you. Said you were a good man." Caleb felt the words hit him like a weight. A good man. He didn't much believe that about himself anymore. But someone, somewhere, likely their mother, had trusted his name enough to send her children to him. "Where is your mama now?" Caleb asked. Tommy's has dropped to the floor. Etched whispered, "She told us to run." Silence filled the cabin. Caleb didn't push. He could read between lines, the marks on the boy's cheek, the fear etched in both their eyes. Something ugly had driven them here, something no child should endure. Caleb stirred the pot on the stove, ladling out what was left of his stew. He set it before them, watching as they devoured it, Ellie clutching her spoon with shaking hands, Tommy pausing only to check she had enough before taking more himself. The cowboy stood by, arms folded, heart heavy. That night, Caleb laid out blankets by the fire, letting the children curl up close together. He sat in his old chair, listening to the crackle of embers and the soft, uneven breaths of two souls finally safe enough to sleep. His gaze lingered on their small forms, and he felt something shift inside him, like the first warmth of spring thawing a long, frozen winter. When morning broke, golden light spilling across the prairie, Caleb saddled his horse. He couldn't just ignore what brought those children to his door. He rode to town, Tommy and Ellie perched in front of him, clinging tight. Folks stared as he passed. The lonely cowboy never carried passengers, let alone children. At the sheriff's office, Caleb told what little he knew. The sheriff scratched his chin, uneasy. There'd been whispers about their stepfather. Man drank, quick with a fist. Their mamas tried to protect him, but, truth is, she's caught in it too. Caleb's jaw clenched. He looked down at Tommy and Ellie, fearful, clinging, and felt his blood heat. "Then they stay with me," he said flatly. The sheriff raised an eyebrow. "That what you want, Rawlins? You ain't exactly known for, well, family." Caleb shot him a look that silenced further talk. "They ain't going back there. Days turned into weeks. Caleb taught Tommy to ride a horse, to mend a fence, to throw a lasso. The boy, though quiet at first, began to open up, laughter sneaking into his voice when he managed to stay atop a bucking pony. Ellie followed Caleb everywhere, clutching her doll in one hand, his calloused fingers in the other. She'd sit by the fire at night, hair tangled, eyes glowing, asking him endless questions about stars, cattle, and why coyotes howled at the moon. Caleb answered as best he could, but truth was, they were teaching him more than he taught them. They showed him that a man's worth wasn't measured in land or solitude, but in the lives he chose to shelter. Still, shadows lingered. One evening, as Caleb returned from the range, he saw dust rising on the horizon. A rider approached, the children's stepfather, drunk and snarling, demanding his property back. Caleb stepped forward, shoulders broad, voice like steel. "They ain't yours. And they ain't ever going back." The man cursed, tried to push past, but Caleb didn't flinch. The children clung to his legs, trembling. In that moment, Caleb felt every ounce of loneliness burn away, replaced by a fire fiercer than they ever known. It wasn't just a cowboy anymore. It was protector, father, and chore. The sheriff arrived soon after, having been warned. The man was taken away in shackles, and the matter settled. But Caleb knew it was more than law that had saved the children, it was choice. His choice. Months passed. The ranch, once silent, rang with laughter and laugh. Caleb found himself rising early not just for chores but to see Age's sleepy smile and Tommy's eager determination. He mended not only fences but hearts, his own included. One night, Ellie curled up beside him on the porch, staring at the stars. Her small voice broke the quiet. "Mama said you might help, but you did more. You never left." Caleb swallowed hard, his throat tight. He wrapped an arm around her, pulling her close. "And I never will." In that moment, Caleb realized something they never dared believe: family isn't always blood. Sometimes, it's the ones who stumble to your door in the dark, broken and scared, and choose to stay. And sometimes, it's the lonely cowboy who finds that in saving them, he was saving himself all along. The prairie wind carried the sound of children's laughter across the ranch for years to come. Folks in town stopped calling Caleb the lonely cowboy. Instead, they spoke of him as a man who'd taken two broken souls and built a family. And when travelers passed by his spread, they'd often hear a heel's voice carrying sweet across the fields: "We were beaten, sir. Mama said you might help." And the answer, always steady, always sure, was found in the life Caleb chose that night, the life where he never left them.